So joining us now is Doug Collins, former congressman of the state of Georgia. Congressman, it's great to see you again.
Good to see you as well.
Congressman, first things first, why did President Trump choose J.D. Vance?
Because I think he was looking for some money that could take the America First ideology and put it in a different form, put it in a form in which young people and young Americans, those who may have been detached from the system, felt like it wasn't a part of them. They can look at somebody who came from poverty, who came from a working class family, who made his way up, and speaks clearly about the truths of what it means to be America first, to make sure that our country is put first, to make sure our economy is put first, to make sure we secure our borders. I think it was a great pick in that regard, in the sense that it provides a balance to a ticket that is very powerful and strong going forward.
What kind of influence do you think he'll have on the former president?
I think like any vice presidential candidate, there will be some places of influence. There'll be some places in which he'll be allowed to be more, out front, going after the administration. That's the role that typically the vice president plays in the campaigns. And look, I think J.D. Vance is set up very well for that. You've watched him in doing interviews. He's been into hostile media many times before. So I think he's going to provide a good balance. And how they would influence each other probably is just in different areas and different styles. It's the first millennial to be nominated for vice president.
We had the head of the Teamsters Union speak at the RNC yesterday for the first time in over 100 years, and he praised J.D. Vance. Perhaps even he was the reason he came to speak at the RNC. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Well, I think what is interesting, the traditional discussion of labor in this country around the Teamsters and others has been a traditional union model that really, frankly, doesn't work that well anymore. I mean, because of a lot of progress and a lot of things that went forward. But there is still what the president of the Teamsters said last night made a lot of sense to people. We're now dealing with corporate, national, basically international globalist companies that don't really claim an allegiance to a national sovereignty, if you would. And I think that is playing, when you have companies that are bigger than most countries, there is a need for government to be a part of that, not in the stifling capitalism, but maybe preserving and protecting the environment, the integrity of monopolies against monopolies that may or may not spring up. And again, he didn't actually say any of those were that way, but he said, look, there's a price for labor that protects the worker. And I think that resonates through the messages from a working class standpoint, whether they support, quote, traditional labor unions or not. There is a concern about most Americans on the effect of big companies and big tech on our society.
Because J.D. Vance has an interesting background, like you say. He's into finance, he's into business, but at the same time, he seems to have, because of his background, because of his youth, a certain affiliation with the working class and with the workers. This is quite new for the Republican Party, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, unfortunately, it's not new. It's just being presented as new this time. I've always believed that the Republican Party was the party of the worker, because we believed in lower, smaller government, less taxes, more increase in being able to start your own business, keep your own money, and do the things with your own earnings that you need to do, and invest those kind of things. The Democratic Party has always wanted centralized control of that, making it more and more dependent upon the government. So in my personal opinion, we've always been far more worker friendly and business friendly than the Democratic Party. However, I think this is coming out now in a new form and looking at it maybe from different glasses. And that's what it takes sometimes to reach voters who may have been disaffected by traditional politics.
Well, on messaging, we hear messages of unity from both sides, from the president, from his opponent, President Biden. J.D. Vance, he has worked with Democrats, even like Elizabeth Warren. What does this tell you?
Well, it tells me exactly what I used to do in Congress as well, is when you can find a place of agreement with people you normally disagree with without giving up your values, then you take advantage, and it's called governing. It's actually called moving the ball forward, which is what we're supposed to be doing. So when J.D. Vance would work with others, J.D. Vance did not become less conservative, and Elizabeth Warren didn't become less liberal. They found ways to work for the American people, and that is what the American people look for. They don't want either side to give up who they are, but if you can find a way to help them, they want to actually be there and be a part of it. And I think that's one of the things that Vance is, his background, his in different ways of his background probably helped in that regard.